probably what they're hoping for, right? Is that no one looks into it. That maybe some other legal filing might take precedence in Google SEO. So it's harder to find this. See, this video is going to get no reach, but I refuse to be silenced, and I refuse. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, we are looking at the financial motivation and brand preservation reasons for Ryan submitting that motion to dismiss. This is a very winding road with tentacles in different brands that he has and different businesses and reasons why he really does not want things to go to discovery right now. I believe his motion to dismiss is not just in regards to him and Blake, especially not Blake. It's definitely not because of Blake right now. It is preserving brands that he's built, and he has a lot of money on the line. I have broken this down in a way that I think makes the most sense to be able to understand the different aspects of what's been happening. This is part one, where we are going to deal with Mountain and Maximum Effort. In part two, we are going to deal with Wrexham and tying the pieces together. So you're going to have to hit like and subscribe, get notifications, because this is not the whole story. So without further ado, let's dive in. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ashley Brianna Eve, and we talk about pop culture, power, and media manipulation here with my background in branding, marketing, and SEO. All right, guys, what is going down with Ryan? Let's have a look. The question, Ryan Reynolds, is he in deep financial trouble? And it's this headline here that started to grab people's attention. I actually got an email about 24 hours ago now asking me to look into this, but I've also received a lot of DMs over the last, I'd say, week asking me to look into this. And originally I didn't. I'm going to be honest. Originally I didn't, because I don't really understand the Mountain sale aspect on the surface until I started digging in. Now, to understand what's going down with Mountain, and don't worry, I'm going to catch you up on that so you don't have to leave. I got you. What's going down with Mountain and Maximum Effort, we have to start with Ryan's brand. So this is what I've always done, is branding. I help people build really powerful, impactful brands that stand out. And so I'm going to bring that first so that we can understand why everything is crumbling really fast in the world of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. All right, so Ryan built his brand on what's called the Jester brand archetype. Any successful brand, whether consciously or not, picks a brand archetype. It's based on psychology, Carl Jungian psychology, picks a brand archetype and you run with it. This is why someone like, say, Taylor Swift can have these different eras and seemingly transform in different eras with different types of music. You know, she went from country to kind of this pop. Reputation era had a little bit of that Paramore vibe, and she can transform within her music, but she doesn't lose her audience, right? There's this thread that holds it together as she goes, and you grow and move with her. And that is because of branding archetypes. She is the every woman brand archetype. Ryan built his on the Jester. Old Spice is an example of the Jester. A couple other examples, the Magician, Disney, Where Dreams Come True, the Outlaw, Harley Davidson. The Outlaw would also be Rihanna. She fits perfectly into the Outlaw. So we have these different brand archetypes. You pick one and you stay within it. And it is very difficult. I think Old Spice is the only one that comes to the top of my mind. It's very difficult to switch brand archetypes. Old Spice did it, worked really well for them. Most of the time it's difficult because to people, they just don't see you in a certain way. They've seen you, for example, Ryan, as a jester. So his core motivation as a jester is fun, witty, just exactly what it sounds like, right? Entertainment, breaking conventional norms within his industry through humor, even that breaking the fourth wall in Deadpool, very jester-esque and very kind of breaking conventional norms. How it's shown up in building his brand. And I've got pushback in the beginning around this when I said, and was it Bolt Neck? People pushed back and they said, oh, he was just trying to be a bad Jim Carrey. He was testing out and trying to figure out his brand. Not that copying Jim Carrey was the point, but testing out and figuring out your brand within the jester archetype was what he was doing. So how this has shown up is even his public persona has fit into the brand. Taylor is great at this as well. It's why they've both been able to build such powerful brands. So he built his public persona on humor, sarcasm, self-awareness, quote unquote self-awareness. And even his relationship with Blake, I know it kind of put up red flags for a lot of people, but for most people thought it was cute. They're kind of doing these fun little jabs back and forth on their social media accounts, which now I kind of think, and let me know if you think this too. Now I kind of think it was just Ryan going back and forth, but I don't know. But their social media accounts very much sounded like and felt like the rooftop scene in It Ends With Us. And it turned out that apparently Ryan wrote that scene, even though Blake tried to backtrack on it. So his social media, advertisements, public interactions, all have reflected that playful, kind of self-deprecating style of humor. And he was known as the funny, nice Canadian guy. And that built his brand. And it was like him or not, he became incredibly powerful based off of that brand. And Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile campaigns, Deadpool filled with that comedic fourth wall breaking type of humor. And Deadpool's entire marketing campaign, everything leaned heavily into satire and meta humor. We know now that he was also picking on people and bullying people. However, let's just keep it in terms of branding for right now. His Maximum Effort brand also specializes, this is going to be important to just put a pin in for now, specializes in comedic, unconventional advertising. Comedic, unconventional advertising. I need you to remember that. So when we look at Ryan and the fallout that is happening, and is not just as easy as saying, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. It is every domino that is falling now. If we look at Ryan, his entire brand was built on that. And serious allegations of manipulative business tactics, hostile takeovers, and involvement in industry power plays is very damaging. The problem is, because the jester is thriving on building a brand on authenticity and relatability and being non-threatening, right? I'm the funny guy. It's non-threatening. As soon as this has started to come up, whether he realized it immediately or not, the dominoes started falling on his brand. And because he is a personal brand, and this is going to have, if issues come out where text messages in discovery are shown that Taylor also is, for example, kind of maybe using manipulative business tactics, doing hostile takeovers, etc., she's going to struggle a lot as well because she built her brand on the every woman. Now, because of this, and because he's a personal brand, it impacts everything. It impacts his entire brand, including all of the businesses he leveraged his personal brand to build. So with a personal brand, you are front facing. So people associate that business with you, okay? So now we're starting to hear this Mountain is going for IPO. I got you. I'm going to break that down. When someone first told me about that, again, I just ignored the DM originally because I said thank you, looked into it, and then realized that's over my head. So I didn't look into it any further. So I got you. I'm going to break down what an IPO is. Don't worry. But how this could impact it. So if you've started to hear rumblings of Mountain's IPO and Mountain is selling Maximum Effort and Ryan's going down because of this, and you might start seeing headlines speed up or in regards to this. This is why it's so bad. Investor confidence, because it's not public yet, Mountain. Investor confidence in Mountain's IPO has a potential to take a massive hit. In fact, I would say it probably already has, because now there's rumblings of Mountain selling Maximum Effort, which we know ties back to Ryan Reynolds. I don't have a string chart yet, guys. I need to buy a board for behind us with a string chart. I think that's my next thing I've got to do, because it would have been very helpful for this. However, investor confidence is going to tank. Reputation risk matters in public offerings. It is a huge factor of public offerings. When companies go public, which is essentially what IPO means, the institutional investors and analysts assess not just the financials, but leadership reputation. And Ryan and Blake's reputation are in the gutter right now. No matter how much Ari Emanuel pays for nice and, calls his friends to have nice magazine covers put for the two of them and features put, their reputation is damaged. I think a lot more than we realize publicly at this point. There have been people reaching out and saying that there are industry insiders getting together and discussing how to deal with all of this and deal with the fallout of this. So I do think it's damaged more than we realize on the outside because of the magazine still appearing to be pro Blake. But that can be bought and people are afraid to upset WME. Now, brand risk for a creative company. Mountain's value is deeply tied to Maximum Effort's branding magic, and it's deeply tied to Ryan. If his credibility as a marketing genius, and I want you to hold this in the back of your mind too, because I'm going to propose something at the end of today. And we're going to pull it over into day 2. But I want you to just think of that as well, because he keeps getting called, and he is a marketing genius. I won't take that away from Ryan. No matter what he's done, one thing for me is you got to give him props, because you do not get to his level and run the businesses he has and make the money he has without being a marketing genius. He is. However, with Maximum Effort and Mountain being really tied to, and wait till you see, guys, you want to stick around. Your jaw's going to be on the floor. Like, get comfortable, because he is tied to Mountain, as is Deadpool, as is someone else you're not going to believe. However, if this is starting to fall, if his credibility is starting to fall and be questioned, that's going to lower the perceived value of Mountain when it goes public. And so it's going to negatively impact, I imagine, everyone involved. Also, you're going to see loss of key partnerships and clients. Mountain relies on high-profile collaborations. Now, there's some rumors going around that maybe Ari Emanuel is involved or certain celebrities. I don't doubt he has rich friends that are involved in all of his companies as investors. I don't doubt that at all. There's nothing to link them to it, so we can't say for sure. However, you're going to rely on very high-profile collaborations. And if companies start to distance themselves due to Ryan Reynolds' involvement, again, that is going to impact an IPO. And it's also going to negatively impact Maximum Effort at the end of the day. It's going to damage Maximum Effort's brand and creative influence. Maximum Effort's entire brand is built around the Ryan Reynolds effect. It's humor, authenticity, viral marketing. If people stop seeing him as genuine, if people start to question his actual intentions, and all of a sudden this brand that he's built with businesses that rely on that authentic sense of humor and viral marketing, well, if you can't go viral right now because of a scandal, if you're struggling in SEO because every day you're getting pounded by negative press about a lawsuit that you've been dragged into, this is also going to have a massive impact on Maximum Effort. The creative advertising world thrives on goodwill, and brands may not want to work with a figure facing credibility issues. If it gets tied back to you, it can have negative impacts on your brand as well. Wrexham is going to be day 2. We are diving into Wrexham. And Alpine F1, don't know much about that, could lose public support as well. Interestingly enough, there are a whole host of issues with Wrexham as well. But the reality is there's this resurgence, right? With Wrexham, here's the thing. Sports teams are great investments. They are also fantastic for reputation laundering. It's now being called reputation correction. No, it's funny. It reminds me of in psychology, we used to call it a victim mindset back in the day. And now it's too harsh. So it's, we don't call someone having a victim mindset. It's a fixed mindset now. So it just makes me kind of giggle in my head because, reputation laundering, it is harsh, right? Makes you think of money laundering, makes you think of someone that's nefarious and bad. However, sports teams are great ways to improve someone's public image, or even if someone's public image isn't bad and they're not going through a scandal, Sports teams are a great way to boost someone's credibility and boost someone's public image. So when you look at Wrexham's history as well, big news within Wrexham has been tied to big news in other areas of Ryan's career and businesses. And it's not necessarily negative, right? It's just overall boosting his profile when you have a sports team, especially this sports team, which is a feel good underdog story. So we have Ryan, who's the jester, who's a mix of humor and authenticity and connection and just, the funny guy, the nice, funny guy, mixed in with the underdog story of Wrexham. If he starts to come out as like this corporate shark that is doing hostile takeovers and falsely accusing people of SH, that's going to hit Wrexham really bad. But the reality is Wrexham's also going through a lot of issues right now. So we're going to deal with that on day 2. So he's going to have a lot of issues with trying to overcome this. I want you to think of another celebrity scandal that was based off the jester archetype, and that's Ellen DeGeneres. Her entire downfall was because her brand was based on the jester. It's that the funny woman, be kind, just authentic, seemingly, whether it's actually authentic or not, but the brand was built off this image of authentic connection, funny jokes, easygoing. But once people saw the different side, she faced massive backlash and hasn't come back from it. So he can face that exact same backlash, and there's the potential. And I know a lot of people, and I understand the fears as well, that in different countries even, he's not facing him and Blake the same pushback as he is in maybe North America. However, this can be the dominoes that just keep going, especially I have a feeling Discovery is going to be really rough for people like Taylor and Ryan. I just have a feeling, because just because someone's brand is built in a certain way doesn't mean that's who they actually are. It means that they're intelligent business people and they saw a hole in the market and they filled it, or a gap in the market and they filled it for a certain type of brand archetype. It's really smart business. So best case right now and worst case for the IPO outcomes. Remember, we have this company going public. And all of a sudden, there's these rumblings that they're ditching Maximum Effort. All right. And everyone wants to distance himself from Ryan Reynolds. No one wants to be around him right now. Best case, damage control. We might actually see him. Well, one, he's going to have to be distanced from Mountain because they're selling Maximum Effort. But you might actually see him also start to distance himself from Maximum Effort itself, especially in a official capacity. Or maybe he'll just leave Maximum Effort altogether. Mountain, I think, is going to focus on different directions and, again, continue to distance themselves from Ryan Reynolds. And that is also going to be in the hopes that they're comforting investors, right? Where, don't worry, like, we are getting as far away from this guy as possible. And he might even play the misunderstood card and acknowledge, I don't think he will, but this is best case. Acknowledge mistakes, but really reinforce that jester image with self-deprecating humor. We actually kind of saw this in his case, his filing to dismiss, the motion to dismiss. He kind of, not that he called them mistakes, but he acknowledged things that he did without saying it outright. He didn't deny that Nice Pool was Justin Baldoni. He didn't outright deny that he called him a predator. He didn't deny those things. I mean, he didn't acknowledge them as mistakes, but he also didn't deny them. But he also reinforced that jester image. How did he reinforce the jester image? Justin's just thin-skinned, guys. He can't take a joke. Now, I think it landed, as my grandma would have said back in the day, like a lead balloon. I don't think it went how he probably perceived in his mind that it would go. But definitely, if we're looking at from a branding and reputation laundering position, that's best case is, acknowledge or sort of acknowledge the mistake and reinforce the jester image. And that's basically what he did. Worst case is the scandal impacts Mountain and Maximum Effort. Investors hesitate. They see IP going public and investing in Mountain as risky. It tanks. There's reputational damage. Maximum Effort loses major clients, affecting its revenue. And Mountain stock suffers post-IPO as well. So if he comes out as the corporate villain, which I have a feeling he's going to, This is my feeling. He is delaying or hoping to delay discovery because I feel stuff that's going to come out is going to be disastrous for Mountain. And the thing is you also want to salvage your business relationships. You don't want to be a pariah in all these circles with all these powerful people. So I also believe he's trying to get ahead of this to also salvage business relationships. And if there's been, say, investors that are investing in Mountain, big time clients with maximum effort, there's a lot of incentive there to delay. Now, Mountain's stock could suffer post IPO as well. It's not like just because he's delaying discovery that Mountain's safe, but I do believe one, he would prefer to just get out of it. Of course, I'm obviously. Number one, he'd prefer to get out of it, not have any of his stuff come to light. But number two, delay it at least, get through. I think it's April 1st. It goes public. They just have to make it a couple more weeks, guys. I'm actually surprised Mountain didn't ditch maximum effort sooner, to be honest. But overall, he needs to control the narrative ASAP, which they are. Right? We've talked about this. And I said, I think what they're doing is reputation laundering, or okay, all right, we can call it reputation correction, the more politically correct way of saying it. But ultimately, we've talked about this on the channel where Ryan and Blake have been pushing the family brand. They're rebranding themselves as the every woman, every man brand archetype. It was originally thought by me that it was to fix Blake's brand. I'm going to be honest. Originally, I didn't think it was to fix Ryan's, but it makes sense. And I believe now, after seeing what's happening with Mountain and Maximum Effort, that this is an attempt to fix both the public-facing brands. Kind of see him even as his Wrexham hat on in the selfies that they're putting out, right? I see him just a sports guy. We're baking cookies. I, love sports just like you. And there is an attempt to fix the brand. And I think that the reason why we're seeing such a hard push over the Family Guy, their kids ride horses and they bake cookies and they're just like you, is they're just trying to get over this hump to April 1st as the first hurdle. Like I said, it's not like his businesses are in the clear just because discovery has been delayed. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it certainly helps if we can at least get Mountain over the hump of going public, because I feel the investors are pooping their pants right about now. So what I wanted to show is the interconnectedness of his personal branding and corporate reputation. For personal brands, which is what I specialize in helping people with, for personal brands, you cannot separate the person from the brand because they are the brand. The brand is you. That's what I used to always say. The brand is you. So you can't separate them. And now there's this big issue because he's linked to Mountain and he's linked to Maximum Effort. So if he goes down, a lot of these companies are going down as well. And wait till you see a video I found that he did for Mountain. Oh, guys. Oh, I was up all night putting this together. I did not sleep. I was literally up all night putting this together. Okay, so this is what's happening. Mountain has this IPO initial public offering, and they want to distance themselves as fast as possible from Ryan Reynolds. And who can blame them? Now, let's do a little bit. If you're not sure who I think we all know who Maximum Effort is now after the whole It Ends With Us filings from Justin, which Maximum Effort is painted all over it. But who's Mountain? So I found this from Mountain's website. It's MNTN, pronounced Mountain. Maximum Effort acquired by CTV player MNTN. Mountain, this is 2021. You're going to want to stick around for the video I found. Ryan Reynolds owned Maximum Effort Marketing has been a darling of Adland with its devil-may-care attitude, quite literally if you count the Match.com ads. I didn't realize Maximum Effort did Match.com. See, this is what I mean. He can lose massive contracts. I have no doubt there's like some kind of brand image morality type clause within his business, within Maximum Effort. Because if he tanks, it's very possible that it can negatively impact other people's businesses, such as Match.com as an example. Today, it announced that Mountain is acquiring The Hot Shop, Mountain builds advertising software for brands to drive measurable conversions, revenue, site visits, and more through the power of television. Per the company, here's what you need to know. Now, what I want to say is that what you need to know is I believe Mountain's going to go back to focusing on pushing software, site visits, and kind of the tech side of it as they distance themselves from Ryan Reynolds. Because up until this point, it's been a bonus, it's been a positive for the company to be associated with Ryan. Now it's not. Now it's a liability. And I think what you're going to find if you follow Mountain, which I don't follow stocks, I don't follow Mountain, I don't follow tech companies. I think what you're going to find is they're focusing more on the tech side and software. What happened? Mountain, pronounced Mountain, announced today that it acquired Maximum Effort Marketing. Again, this is 2021. Mountain plays in the connected TV and self-serve ad space. It claims Mountain Performance TV is the world's first and world's first and only. Sorry, guys, I skipped a line. I am tired. Is the world's first and only connected TV advertising platform optimized for direct response marketing goals. It redefines what advertisers can do with television, giving them the power to tie performance directly to their TV campaigns. So Mountain it's hand in hand with Maximum Effort Marketing Division. It actually is the perfect marriage, if you ask me. To be quite honest, it would have been the perfect marriage if Ryan hadn't tanked everything. Maximum Effort Marketing will continue to operate as a creative agency within Mountain. It will retain its existing identity, so it never lost its identity as part of Mountain. Ryan Reynolds is now Chief Creative Officer of Mountain, and partner George Dewey is now Chief Brand Officer. Dewey will also maintain his role as president of Maximum Effort. Maximum Effort Productions is not part of the transaction. I'm going to talk about that in a moment as well, or at the end. Maximum Effort Productions is not part of the transaction, will continue to operate as a standalone company. It signed a separate deal last month with Paramount Pictures, giving the studio first look at development deals. A spokesperson for Mountain confirmed the deal. One never knows where the humor begins and ends with Reynolds and Maximum Effort. I'm going to say that again because it's everything I just said. The brand archetype, the brand Ryan built is why it's been so powerful for him to connect with and partner with these companies. Therefore, if the jester archetype goes down, everything Ryan has built it's going down. It's going down because it's all tied to him and it's all tied to Deadpool. Guys, you got to hang out. You're not going to believe this. Honestly. So let's just read that again first. A spokesperson for Mountain confirmed the deal. One never knows where the humor begins and ends with Ryan Reynolds and Maximum Effort. So it's just solidifying. We're leaning into that. He's funny. He's nice. He's authentic. And yeah, he's damn good at what he does because he's funny, nice, and authentic. Why it matters. Between its work for Match.com and Mint Mobile, Maximum Effort Marketing has been one of the most watched creative shops in the industry. Merging a creative shop with one of the fastest growing companies in ad tech will be an interesting marriage. Terms of the acquisition were not disclosed. This deal follows a reported $610 million sale of Reynolds Aviation Gin to Diego last year. Ryan Reynolds said in a statement, "We wanted a future for our marketing arm that ensured we could continue to move fast, have fun." That fun thing keeps coming up. "And do really rewarding work. I was blown away by the simplicity and speed of Mountain's technology and how it opens up access to TV advertisers who can't afford upfront agreements. I believe the combination of our companies will create a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. Assuming my math checks out, it was never my strong suit." And, even in his statement, he is leaning into the jester, the funny guy. That actually it did make me laugh, made me chuckle. Chief Executive of Mountain, Mark Douglas, said, "The explosion of the connected TV presents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to bring creative and media back together. Creative is the center of the advertising industry, and I've always thought it odd to have creative and media walled off from each other. Maximum Effort's work speaks for itself, and having spent a lot of time with Ryan, I know I found a partner who likes to move fast and take big swings." Ryan Reynolds explained the deal here. If you've been falling asleep, pay attention. Ryan Reynolds explained the deal here to his twin brother, Gordon. Yeah, you heard that right. Gordon Reynolds was part of Mountain and Maximum Effort's marketing campaign. In their marketing campaign for Mountain, promoting Mountain and Maximum Effort. Oh, yeah, it's as messy as you guys think.
Hey, Gordon. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a couple of years. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's really nice to see you.
Thank you. I have a feeling that you'll find some way
I have no.
So I do have to keep pausing it so that we don't get in trouble for using it. And okay, so we have Gordon and Ryan here, and they are promoting Mountain and Maximum Effort.
I have no intention of hurting you. I'm serious. I know how important celebrities are, especially in times of global crises. You and the others in Hollywood are our last line of defense. Thank you. So, first question. What are your thoughts on the pandemic seemingly coming to a close?
Well, like a lot of people, I'm excited to get back on...
On Raya? Was Blake upset when she discovered your Raya profile, or when you accidentally clicked on her Raya profile? Follow-up question. Who brokers the terms for these Hollywood arrangement chips?
Which is so interesting because there's been so much talk recently about celebrities and these arranged marriages or these lavender marriages. And I've talked about it previously and got a lot of pushback in certain high profile couples saying that it was branding, it was PR, it was to improve someone's brand. This does happen, but I just think it's so funny that they talk about it here.
My relationship is real, you
So some call you the king of the body switching movie.
Nobody calls me that.
To your face. Boltneck, The Change Up, Selfless, Detective Pikachu, Criminal, The Voices, and to a lesser extent, this ad masquerading as a tired as shit fake twin brother sketch. Are you hard up for money, or are you just trying to scratch some sort of creative STD?
I'm not hard up for money.
But you sold the gin company.
It's interesting to me as well, something I'm just going to say as we pause this, is how Gordon's changed. But we see Gordon again, don't we, guys? We see Gordon again.
Yes, to Diageo.
And now you're offering Maximum Effort marketing up to a volcano. Did you displease the gods?
Mountain. Maximum Effort Marketing is merging with Mountain. It's an ad tech firm that's revolutionizing performance TV.
Always performing, aren't we?
No, you brainless dumpster humper. Performance TV is a smarter way of buying TV ads, and Mountain has created a self-serve platform that makes running TV ads as easy as posting on social media.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I passed away there while you were talking.
Holy shit. Maximum Effort and Mountain are merging to make running TV ads simpler, smarter, and open to more companies. That's it.
It's interesting. Oh, I just noticed Aviation Gin product placement on the left-hand side. I just noticed
it.
Oh. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Are you crying? Dude, it's fine. You don't have to apologize
I'm sorry, I forgot RIPD. That is technically a body switching movie. And oh my God, have you seen it?
Okay, I'm ending this. I'll see you at Thanksgiving.
No,
Stop it. Sally sells seashells.
We named the dog Indiana.
Happy hot buttered hopscotch. I'm out of here.
Bye,
All right, so there you have it. There you have it. Gordon Reynolds as part of the marketing campaign for Mountain and Maximum Effort's merger. And I imagine you can already see where I'm going to be going with this. The fact that Ryan Reynolds has tied Gordon Reynolds, his fake twin brother, into the merger of Maximum Effort and Maximum Effort and Mountain. There's so many companies here to keep straight. Ties not just Ryan Reynolds into Mountain, and therefore Ryan's reputation is tied to the reputation of Mountain through the merger, but so is the name Gordon Reynolds. And so they did this ad where they're kind of bantering back and forth in the traditional Ryan Reynolds way. Why? They're leaning into the jester archetype. He's a nice, funny guy. He's self-deprecating. He can laugh at himself. And that is one of the most powerful pieces that has built Ryan's brand. But not only is that tarnished, but now we've got Gordon Reynolds showing up in a lot of sketchy ways. And you can tie Gordon Reynolds back to Mountain and Maximum Effort as well. So we already know what Mountain is thanks to Ryan, but it is a connective TV advertising platform. So they have filed for IPO, which is initial public offering. They submitted a registration statement on Form S1 with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commissions, detailing its plans to offer Class A common stock to the public. We don't know the exact number of stock or their shares, and the price range for the offering has yet to be determined, but it intends to list its shares on the New York Stock Exchange under the name MNTN. Now, what I'm finding is leading financial institutions, including Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, and Evercore ISI, are acting as lead book running managers for the proposed offering. And within this, we're starting to see, as we get closer to April 1st, more rumblings that they have let go of Maximum Effort and Gordon Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds. So in the lead up to its IPO, they made that strategic move by selling its creative agency, Maximum Effort, to a affiliate of its original owner. They didn't confirm it's a Ryan himself, though, is it Ryan, George Dewey, or another entity? That remains unclear. So I can't say for sure, although it is rumored that's gone back to Ryan. And the transaction is set to close on April 1st. And Maximum Effort will continue providing creative services, apparently, to Mountain as an independent entity. I have a feeling that's going to change. I almost wonder if saying that is just trying to avoid throwing Ryan under the bus, because, again, his identity is tied to Mountain and Maximum Effort. And so you don't necessarily want to completely throw him under the bus right now. But that transaction my apologies. So I think I had originally said it's going public April 1st. The transaction, from what I can find, of Maximum Effort leaving Mountain is April 1st. While the sale could be seen as standard business decisions, potentially tied to, their expected IPO, industry leaders are coming out and saying, no, this raises serious questions because of Ryan's involvement in the lawsuit. And actually, let's go to that next. Let's look at what industry experts are saying in regards to this. We are starting to get headlines like this one. And what is coming up now is, did Ryan Reynolds' legal woes play a part in Mountain's sale of Maximum Effort? So we'll go through this article. While the move aligns with a potential IPO, experts suggest the timing raises questions about whether the actor's involvement in a high-profile lawsuit influenced the decision. Mountain, the connected TV advertising platform, is parting ways with Maximum Effort, the ad agency founded by actor Ryan Reynolds, and which has built its reputation on his star power. For years, Reynolds and Maximum Effort were a powerhouse in marketing the actor's distinct brand of humor. Again, he was built off the jester archetype, and this keeps coming up. Helped to create viral, self-aware campaigns. But with Mountain's decision to divest the agency, questions have emerged about whether Reynolds' legal troubles and the risk of building a business around a single celebrity factored into the move. The lawsuit, which involves Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Reynolds, has escalated into a major media spectacle, with Reynolds named in a $400 million countersuit. While the sale could be seen as a standard business decision, and that's probably what they're hoping for, right? Is that no one looks into it. That maybe some other legal filing might take precedence in Google SEO. So it's harder to find this, so it doesn't gain traction in the media. That maybe Ryan's filing of the motion to dismiss was yes, to delay discovery, but also to play with SEO a bit so that this gets pushed down the algorithm. Maybe. It's interesting, right? Some industry leaders believe the timing raises serious questions, particularly given Reynolds' involvement in a high-profile lawsuit. According to an SEC filing made Friday, Maximum Effort is being sold to an affiliate of its original owners, though whether that means Reynolds, George Dewey, or another entity, again, remains unclear. The transaction is set to close April 1st, and Maximum Effort will continue providing creative services to Mountain as an independent entity. Neither Mountain nor Maximum Efforts responded to requests for comment by press time, but after publication, a spokesperson for Maximum Effort provided the following statement. 4 years ago, when Maximum Effort Marketing became a part of Mountain, we, along with Mountain, always contemplated a day when our marketing arm would rejoin Maximum Effort Productions as an independent agency. I don't believe that for a minute. The original agreements were drafted specifically with this in mind because it's important for us to maintain our creative freedom. So while we are structurally going forward as separate entities, the reality is Mountain and Maximum Effort have grown together and will continue our amazing creative partnership. We will remain in lockstep with Ryan Reynolds maintaining his role as Chief Creative Officer at Mountain. It'll be interesting to see if that changes. The statement suggests that the decision to spin off Maximum Effort was planned well in advance and is not a reactionary move. It might not be, but it seems very interesting, does it not? A reputational risk for Mountain. Mountain's sale of Maximum Effort seems to be a strategic move to streamline its operations prior to an intended IPO, explains Mark Verono, co-founder and CEO of Social Plug. By focusing solely on its core expertise in connected TV advertising, Mountain can provide a leaner business model to potential investors and get rid of Reynolds in the process. Verono argues that while any legal controversy can cast a shadow, Reynolds' brand remains largely intact, unless the lawsuit directly calls into question his values or business ethics. What could come out in discovery, guys? Do you think you could see his values or business ethics be called into question? If his values and business ethics are called into question through discovery, do you think that's going to tarnish his other brands? Do you think then his brand is not going to remain largely intact? He adds, unless the legal issues have a direct bearing on campaign integrity or brand safety, most CMOs would likely still collaborate with Maximum Effort and Reynolds given their track record of creating engaging content. Other experts aren't as convinced that the decision was entirely business as usual. I think because if we read between the lines here, this guy's saying it's largely intact, whatever. His business values and ethics haven't been called into question yet. There's nothing to prove yet that he's doing hostile takeovers and he's sketchy AF. I think there's stuff. I think Ryan is looking a little rough these days because he knows damn well what's about to come out in Discovery. But that's just my opinion. Someone else says, the timing raises serious questions about Mountain's decision to sell Maximum Effort, says Philip Albertstadt, managing director of Embark Advisors. Reynolds has masterfully built his personal brand into a business empire, but when legal challenges arise, there are inevitable business consequences to consider. Dylan Davies, CEO and founder of The Social Inc., calls the timing of the sale very suspicious. He says, while the sale does seem to align with Mountain's likely push towards an IPO by streamlining its operations, there will always be questions about the timing. Perhaps it's protecting its brand, given the reputational risks at play. According to Ulysses Osana, a crisis PR strategist and CEO of Influencer Press, I apologize if I've mispronounced anyone's names, the lawsuit has already affected Reynolds' public perception and by extension, Maximum Effort. And that's what I've said too. His brand has been built on likability, humor, and relatability, but any controversy, even by association, can erode that carefully crafted image. Exactly. From a business perspective, this affects Maximum Effort significantly. The agency has largely thrived on Reynolds' star power and credibility. If his reputation takes a hit, CMOs and brands may question whether Maximum Effort still carries the same appeal for and effectiveness. And then they go into what's next. Reynolds' fame has been the foundation of Maximum Effort's success, making it difficult to separate the agency from its founder's personal brand. What we're witnessing is the fundamental vulnerability of celebrity-founded agencies. And that's the vulnerability of any personal brand, not just celebrities. That's a vulnerability of any personal brand. This is something I speak to my clients about all the time when they are thinking about how to build their brand of business. It's typically, if you're likable, easier to have a personal brand as the driving force of your business. In the beginning, it can be for sure. Look at Ryan Reynolds. Look at Taylor Swift. But again, if the personal brand, the person goes down, the business goes down. It's a lot harder to separate the two. What we're witnessing is a fundamental vulnerability of celebrity-founded agencies. They rise quickly on star power, but remain perceptually tethered to the personal fortunes of the famous founders. Sana argues that, at least in the short term, brands may be hesitant to align with Reynolds or Maximum Effort. Normally, when there's a crisis happening, people avoid you like the plague. It's almost guaranteed that people are hesitant to work with Maximum Effort and Ryan Reynolds right now. Even though Ryan isn't the main person facing backlash, many people aren't happy with Blake, are also placing blame on Ryan. Davey adds that Reynolds' boy next door, boy next door charm, credibility, and ability to speak to audiences has been essential to the agency landing clients. Exactly what I've said. If uncertainty grows around his brand, the agency could struggle to secure new business. Despite concerns over the timing, some experts believe the agency could actually do well from the separation, allowing the agency to distance itself from Reynolds' legal trouble, while proving its creative strength beyond its star power. And its potential, yeah, or it could work in their favor long term. Ironically, the sale might benefit Maximum Effort long term. Alberstadt says operating independently could create necessary separation from Reynolds' personal issues while preserving their distinct creative approach that brands value. Essentially, brands that value stability and controversy-free images may hesitate to align with Maximum Effort in the near future. So this is what's starting to hit the news. Are Ryan Reynolds' legal troubles the driving force between Mountain essentially dumping Maximum Effort? Now, this is where things get murky. And I don't know if the general public has tied these pieces together yet, or if anyone that's putting out these articles in regards to, is Mountain dumping Maximum Effort to kind of save itself? Is everyone distancing themselves from Ryan? I don't think they've put this together, but I have. Maximum Effort is like, it's interconnected with Ryan's brand, which is also Mountain, right? We saw Gordon Reynolds in the ads to promote the merger between Mountain and Maximum Effort. But let's go a little deeper. Maximum Effort, the company's name, is a reference to a catchphrase from Deadpool. So it's connected to Deadpool. Deadpool itself is under controversy right now. Gordon Reynolds has been used in marketing of Maximum Effort and Mountain. Gordon Reynolds was credited in both It Ends With Us and Deadpool. Gordon Reynolds is Nice Pool, plays Nice Pool. And Nice Pool is now in the lawsuit as bullying Justin Baldoni. Nice Pool is now connected to Justin Baldoni through the lawsuit. Maximum Effort is in the timeline produced by Justin Baldoni and his team on the legal website through text messages and emails as kind of being sketchy. Meanwhile, Maximum Effort is tied to the lawsuits, and as discovery comes out, I feel that the name Maximum Effort, Ryan Reynolds and Gordon Reynolds, are going to be further tarnished. So yes, I do believe there's an aspect of wanting to delay discovery to let kind of this business deal go through, get Mountain public with investors, kind of make the investors feel better, get Maximum Effort off on its own, kind of back on its feet, delay discovery. But I do believe Ryan wants the F out. I believe he wants out because I genuinely believe there's going to be a lot that comes out that's going to be very damning. And so you might recognize the name Maximum Effort because of It Ends With Us. So people keep talking about just Ryan's brand, but in these news articles that are coming out, but I'm not seeing anyone tie it back to this yet. So June 20th to 24th, 2024, Abel, Baldoni's publicist, emails Sony's marketing team to inquire about a content shoot that Lively seemingly coordinated with Maximum Effort, Ryan Reynolds' production company. Sony, at the time of the initial outreach by Abel, was not aware of the plans for the shoot, which were planned for June 27th to 28th. Later, Sony attested to the fact that Lively and Maximum Effort were running the show. So that, to me, kind of feels like a hostile takeover, even aside from the movie itself. Abel was understandably concerned at the optics of the entire cast doing a content shoot without the director and co-lead being present. This would later be something that the public would take notice of as well and heighten the rumors and negative press that Lively would take issue with. So they have here an email that was going out, and this is from Jones to Sony, Jennifer Abel, with subject, quick question. Yes, for screenings, we're working on the latest dates and we'll share over with you. Thanks for working with us on that. With the content, is Sony supporting these efforts? And will you use materials from the events? Are they running any of the ideas by the Sony team, or is Maximum Effort totally off on their own island with this? Again, we just really want to ensure Justin is being included where possible supporting the film. We also see this email, and this is from Sony to Jones Works and another Sony email. Hi, nice to see you too. For the screenings, will you just let us know when you have each journos avails for the latest they could see it? And then we can try to get other folks into that screening as well. For the content, Blake and Maximum Effort are really running the show. This is from Sony. Blake and Maximum Effort are really running the show. We know it's Thursday and Friday, but Blake has been talking to talent and Maximum Effort is leading the planning. I'm not flying out for it either. So we're seeing Maximum Effort, who Gordon Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds has publicly done advertising connecting Maximum Effort to Mountain, completely taking over It Ends With Us. And the news so far is just focusing on Ryan Reynolds and his legal trouble, but not Maximum Effort and how Maximum Effort is tied into this whole mess. June 28th, 2024, Lively and Reynolds company Maximum Effort organized a content shoot for the film's promotional campaign with the entire cast and author of the book, minus Baldoni, of course. The content shoot included the cast making flower arrangements, baking cookies, playing Pictionary, collage making, and other concepts developed by Maximum Effort's team in support of the film's production or promotion. They later posed for seemingly staged paparazzi photos before having dinner together. Here is another issue. If Mountain and Maximum Effort are connected with this shit show of a marketing campaign, which Blake tried to say, like, I was just following Sony's directions. I was just doing what I was told, not admitting that her and her husband's company was doing the marketing. But that backlash also falls on Maximum Effort. And Justin exposed that in his text messages and everything that he's put out there, which good for him. Good for him. But I don't know if he even realized this or anyone realized this initially. Because Maximum Effort, remember what Maximum Effort's known for? Funny, likable, kind of the guy next door, relatability. What happens when you completely destroy the marketing for a DV movie? What happens when you make a DV movie about a new Barbenheimer and grab your friends in florals? What happens when you so powerfully miss the mark on promoting a DV movie and it comes out publicly that you, Ryan, Blake, and Maximum Effort were the reason for that? That has the potential to negatively impact Maximum Effort as well. And that's not being spoken about. So what I believe is there is a real fear of discovery also because of how it's going to negatively impact Maximum Effort due to the marketing of It Ends With Us. Because it was Maximum Effort is laid out in Justin's timeline. It was Maximum Effort that was in charge of this Pictionary, baking cookies, grab your friends, bring your florals shit show. And now Maximum Effort, a brand built on, again, funny, connection, relatability. You just miss the mark on a very serious topic. July 2nd, 2024, on a Zoom video conference between Wayfair and Sony Marketing, Wayfair learned that Sony had been dealing with extensive notes and revisions to the marketing plan as a result of the content shoot. Because Sony ended up hiring Reynolds' company Maximum Effort to produce the promotional content for the film, the cost of the shoot significantly increased due to their fee being higher than what Sony had originally budgeted. Notably, this charge was despite Lively's claim in a January 2023 text to Baldoni that Maximum Effort would work for free for the family, as shown below. Despite ultimately approving this, Wayfair was told that Sony was not allowed direct access to the footage, which they had paid for. This shoot included the cast baking cookies. Again, they talk about that, ironing patches on jeans, quirky ideas that completely miss the point of the movie, skirting the issue of domestic violence entirely to the detriment of all of those involved. As noted in the email, Sony did not have much opportunity to be involved in the shoot. And these are the text messages between Blake and Justin, which I wish mainstream media would catch and take my reporting, but give me credit and look into this on how Maximum Effort was the one that did the marketing. Blake Lively says Maximum Effort is on board to help as much or as little as you want. Let me know. We have a great group over here who can help supplement and do the work that Sony won't, so we can just hand it to them between the collective resources. Justin says, haha, my kids are on the jinx phase right now. He then sends another text, I'm going to push to higher maximum effort. Blake Lively says, but all is led by me, Ryan, and Redacted. So we'll make sure to weed out any lame ideas. Blake sends another message, they don't need to hire. Justin Baldoni sends a message, part of why I don't want to die on this hill. Blake Lively, it's me and Ryan and Redacted. We work for free for the family. Blake Lively sends another text message and says, it's mafia style on this. We then get another email, and this is marked Wayfair Marketing, Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. It says, hi, there's a summary of what was shared during my bi-weekly with the digital and social team. The creative team has been dealing with extensive revisions based on feedback from Blake. There are multiple pieces being finalized, including character pieces and get tickets assets. Ryan's agency, Maximum Effort, is producing content, some of which will roll out on his handle. They were just going, like, this is just weird. They were just going for a weird Barbenheimer thing. And I think they really believed in what previously people were saying is, it would boost Ryan and Blake's brand. It would more boost Maximum Effort and Mountain. It was more going to be a benefit to Maximum Effort and Mountain, not just their personal brands. If they pulled off a Barbenheimer and this actually landed, that was going to financially benefit everyone. They say there was shoot with 3 creatives and the rest of the cast. Sony did not have much opportunity to be involved. Seems like a hostile takeover to me. But interestingly enough, don't we remember Gordon Reynolds promoting Mountain and Maximum Effort's merger? Gordon Reynolds tied to Mountain. Well, look who shows up in the It Ends With Us credits. Yes, there's other names there that make you kind of raise an eyebrow and go, but Gordon Reynolds is credited in the It Ends With Us credits. Now, could that have been his way of, being thanked for his contribution without actually listing Ryan Reynolds on it? I don't know. But there is Gordon Reynolds, one of the spokespeople in that ad for the merger of Mountain and Maximum Effort. We also have over here, Nice Pool, Gordon Reynolds. Well, who is Nice Pool? Justin Baldoni. So just like how Ryan uses his character to really be Ryan Reynolds and to attack people, Gordon Reynolds, quote unquote Gordon Reynolds, was using the character of Nice Pool to bully, harass, and then end Justin Baldoni. A person, Gordon Reynolds, a character that again is tied to Mountain and Maximum Effort. So yes, I have no doubt that he wants to delay discovery. I have no doubt it's because of the lawsuit, but it goes deeper than I think what a lot of people realize. But he's made a mess for himself with this. Ryan's made an absolute mess because now he has this alter ego twin that he created that is all over everything, that is now the character that bullied, harassed, and took out Justin Baldoni. And that was just the video again. But we've already watched it. We don't need to watch Ryan and Gordon talk again. And another thing I want to add before I let you guys go in part 1 is, do you remember Taylor Swift, when she first came under fire years ago for her private jet use? She went to a Jets game. And, this has been done by Disney with Frozen, but there's something called SEO manipulation. It's something I talk about frequently. For me, I don't think the filing of the motion to dismiss is only because he wants to delay discovery. Maybe that's a big piece of it. But if you actually look at and you Google Ryan Reynolds legal problems, or legal, even just Ryan Reynolds legal, that's what I put in for this. Well, interestingly enough, everything that's coming up right now is Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Ryan Reynolds asked to be dropped. Ryan Reynolds slams Justin Baldoni over outrage in motion. Ryan Reynolds files to dismiss Justin Baldoni lawsuit. Ryan Reynolds argues there's nothing wrong with calling. That's the headline. It gets cut off. Ryan Reynolds claims Justin Baldoni can't sue him for hurt feelings. So whether intentionally or not, SEO is being absolutely dominated right now by He can't take a joke. Remember what I said earlier? He might lean into the jester. Well, he's not necessarily making the jokes. He's saying, you can't take, I'm just the funny guy, man. I'm just a funny guy. You can't take a joke. You have thin skin. Like, come on. And well, yes, I think when you look through those articles, if you know the case, you're like, it just makes him look like more of an ass. But if you don't know the case and you're just Googling, you don't go to YouTube, you don't go to social media for your news, you go to Google and you type it in, you might be like, oh, what's this guy's problem? What's Justin's problem? But you also aren't seeing at the top of the news feed the issues with Mountain and Maximum Effort. And deeper for me, we know Maximum Effort's tied to It Ends With Us and did the marketing. What if it wasn't Blake that was using Justin as a scapegoat, but Blake and Ryan together, or even Ryan? Because we started to see headlines, and I talked about these headlines. Justin Baldoni's lawyers claim Blake Lively's publicist made him a scapegoat to escape the actress's wrath. Publicist Leslie Sloan's attorney claims she was dragged into the legal battle to distract from serious allegations of SH. And then this came out, the August 12th, 2024 statement, a statement prepared by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds on behalf of Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfair, where it says, It Ends With Us was a troubled production, which we take full accountability for. We are very sorry to everyone we caused upset to privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, and the entire cast and crew led with professionalism every step of the way. Any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. We mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understood why. We have always said we are not perfect, and even if unintentionally make mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not anyone's job but ours, and that's part of being man enough. We will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from the experience, and we thank everyone for their patience, and we'll find a better way to proceed. We are very proud of the film and the welcome arms that it has received. Part of our work is to have uncomfortable conversations for public growth. The film was doing that on screen, and we are doing that off screen. Thank you to the cast, crew, and public for the opportunity to be imperfect and to be given the space to learn and grow with humanity and dedication. I mean, that's just gross from front to back. However, the part that really caught my attention when we look at this from a different lens is we mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understood why. And for me, that now looks like the marketing was like everyone agreed on the marketing. It wasn't Maximum Effort and Blake and Ryan. Everyone agreed on this. But what if that massive DV marketing catastrophe was going to reflect really badly on Maximum Effort and Mountain? Or what if not only it would, but it already did? What if there were talks behind the scenes of the marketing disaster, especially when Justin put out the timeline with all his proof and all the text messages and emails where Maximum Effort was named after, or time and time and time again in both text messages and emails, where Blake calls it a mafia family with Maximum Effort. What if the scapegoat was, yes, Justin Baldoni, but not because of the actress's wrath, but to try and save Mountain and Maximum Effort? What if it was trying to save the brand Ryan had built around being a marketing genius? And like I said, it becoming a Barbenheimer event wasn't just going to be beneficial for Ryan and Blake in terms of personal branding and business opportunities long-term within the industry. It was going to be incredible for Mountain and Maximum Effort as well. It would have been absolutely phenomenal from a financial standpoint, especially if, and I don't know how long this has been going on, but especially if at the time they'd already been talking about going public with Mountain. Imagine if they had this Barbenheimer event and level of publicity and virality and success with this movie, with Deadpool and Wolverine, and It Ends With Us. I think this is why Justin was used as a scapegoat, not necessarily to save Blake Lively's reputation, but to save their bigger investments collectively as a couple, but maybe particularly more Ryan, which is the partnership with Mountain and Maximum Effort. Now, I've been asked a lot about this article because I'm in Canada And there was this Variety article, February 22nd, 2023, Ryan Reynolds' maximum effort part of venture building 1.2 million square foot studio in Canada. Ryan Reynolds' ambitious plan to develop a 1.2 million square foot production studio in Markham, Ontario was announced in February 2023, positioning it to be Canada's largest film and TV production hub. However, since that announcement, there's been no significant public updates on the project's progress. Could the collective trouble with his brand be negatively impacting the development of this? Did he lose support with funding? Were there big, these are questions I'm asking, were there big investors or partners that were going to be with him to create this and bring it to life that are backing off because of everything? We don't know, because other than this Variety article with this exclusive, nothing has been said again. And I haven't heard any plans in Canada in regards to this. So I think, again, what we're seeing is the negative impact of what went down with It Ends With Us. And that's why I think for them, it's not just their acting careers that are on the line to try and salvage right now. I think the number one would have been Mountain and Maximum Effort were the main ones, and the ripple effect that comes with it, of course. And what if all of this also resulted in another massive loss for the couple and their business ventures? And for that, you're going to have to wait for part 2 and how it's all connected to Wrexham. How is it connected to a sports team? All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed part 1, and I will see you for part 2. Make sure to like, subscribe, and get notifications so you don't miss out. Bye, guys. What I found, nobody wants to hear.